in here compared to yesterday, right? Listen, just because I was just thinking of it, but thoughts and prayers to everybody in New York with what happened. You know, it's a scary situation. So I just say that from the outset here. And with that, I'll just open it up. I got a little bit of energy today. Yesterday, if I'd have walked in here, I might have stumbled in. It was hot. It was hot. But I'll open it up. Go ahead.
Are you kind of like Andy, that days like that you gain something out of just to test guys mentally and see how they push through?
Yeah, I have my eye on, I use certain guys I use as indicators to, how hard it is or how many reps they're getting. And I was looking at guys like Drew and, Chamarri. I know certain guys are in shape. And when they were a little bit gassed, then I got a little bit concerned. The next thing you worry about then is when that happens and the heat's jumping on them and they've had a lot of reps and they've lost a lot of fluid, are we going to have any pulls? And I think for the most part, defensively, we survived. So that was a good thing to get all that work in the heat. Andy talks about building this foundation and that this stuff helps us when we get to November, and when we get in those tough situations, we know we've already been there mentally, so it's big.
This is from Gelati, so Ashton Gelati.
Oh, great. Ashton's been great. I think, we've got him in one spot now because we want him to just learn the defense as a defensive end, but I'm hoping at some point we can move him around a little bit. I don't know if we'll get to that this year or that'll be down the road. But, he's one of those guys I call a natural knee bender, and he's a big guy. But I think he's got a lot of power from the hips down, and I think he's a natural knee bender, and that usually means you're a pretty good football player. Just got to get the mental part going for all these young guys, right?
Steve and JuJu had that little bit of rivalry, and obviously they had that little bit of a
scandal
yesterday.
Yeah.
Is that cool with you? I mean, you okay with
well, look at that. The head coach handles all of that, and it was quick, and we're all teammates. I think our guys, as good as any places I've been, do a really good job of taking care of each other, and they respect each other, and it's not an offense versus defense, and Matt and I treat it that way. I think our guys, but every once in a while it gets a little, when it's hot and they're getting tired, it flares up. So.
A little teachable thing too, when you watch the film back, because you can't have them throwing punches.
Yeah, that is that, and kicking balls or doing anything that's going to be a penalty in the real game. Those guys got to stay away from that. And now initially, because I actually had my eyeball on it when it happened, I thought Ashton was like, okay, I can't. But then I think he said, well, wait a minute, and it became what it did. But they got out of it really quick, so it was good.
How much is Knowles impressing? 38, been working in second teams.
Kevin?
Yeah.
I think Kevin's done a great job. I mean, he's a quick twitch guy, free agent, so we didn't know a lot about him coming in. But our scouts did a good job identifying guys like that. And I think he's found a little home at that nickel spot. I think he's done some really good things for us, yeah.
Steve, with the combination of heat, humidity, and pads, what did you learn about your defense the past 3 days?
Yeah, when I was looking at each guy and looking at them, I'm always looking to see if they're in shape. But the guys that have it the toughest in a practice like that are really the linebackers and the defensive backs. I mean, you guys watch the practice. I mean, offensively, they might roll, a receiver might run a long ball and he's off to the side and somebody else coming in. That doesn't happen with us. So we're constantly in and out of the huddle. I thought for the most part they held up pretty good. What will be really interesting to me, we had the 3 hard days. We had today was 10-10-10. We got the day off. The tough day to come back is the next one, after you've had the day off. So I'm looking for them to, if we can ramp it up on that day, I'll be pretty happy.
I know you're going to get him back soon, but how has Fulton been out maybe impacted your plan for training?
Well, every guy, that just means other guys get more reps. And we're going to have to find out what we have in Christian Fulton because he's missed a lot of time. It's not like you step right in here in a multiple system like we have and know what you're doing. So it may take a little while to get him ramped up, but we're anxious to get him back and get more competition at that spot.
Last two, we're going to go Matt and Todd.
Your scouting staff has done a good job over the years of finding a linebackers undrafted and then coaching them up with you guys. How did Cooper McDonald and Brandon George fit in their role?
Yeah, both those guys. I don't know how early you guys get out there to practice, but if you're early to a practice or early to a walkthrough, you're going to see those 3 young linebackers always out there working on something mentally, and that's because that position in this defense takes a lot of there's a lot of volume, and you got to be really smart from the chin to the hairline. And those 2 guys in particular have done a really good job. Coop was a really good find. If you remember, we got him in the rookie mini camp as a 3-day tryout guy, and I thought in the one-on-ones against the running backs he did a nice job yesterday.
I remember talking to you during OTAs, and like Chris had been at OTAs, and he hadn't really been there before. He kind of felt like a regular season for you. Have you seen any difference with him a week into camp from having seen him at OTAs and been around, or is he just the same as he always is?
I don't know. Seems to always be the same to me. I do watch him all the time, whether it's individual periods when he's over there with Joe or at the end of practice. And, Chris likes to refine the finer points of his game. I think he does a really good job of that. And then he'll bring along the young guys to do the same thing. I think at this point in his career, I think Chris realizes that, details is really important. And I think he's sharing that with these young guys, and hopefully that helps that whole group.
Thanks, Coach.
Got them all?
Yesterday, Andy Reid was asked who's the leader of the receiver room, and without flinching, just said your name. I guess, how do you respond to something like that, and how seriously do you take that responsibility?
I mean, it's a huge responsibility. I take it pretty seriously. We got a bunch of young guys in the room, different ages, and it's for me, it's a big responsibility I take full control of. And I think, I lead by, not just by my words, but by my actions. And like I said, there's a lot of guys, a lot of experience, different ages, and everyone's coachable. So I'm glad to take that responsibility.
When you were young, what was the biggest thing that you needed to learn from older guys?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is learning how to take care of your body, learning how to study your playbook. For me, I kind of took that when I first started into the because it's a lot different. College is the hashes are much bigger, the alignment's a lot different. In the NFL, it's all about your alignment, your assignment, and being able to go every single day. And I think it's huge, right? And I think it's kind of paid off for me as far as being able to still play this game.
Young guys seem pretty receptive to you.
Yeah, no, very, very receptive. I'm the guy that's I'm not always serious. I like to have fun, have a good time, make the environment very comfortable for them to come talk to me, about anything, and vice versa, right? Ask how their family doing, how they doing today. I know every single day we show up and it's about football, but I think it's also very important to ask about their personal life and how they're doing.
Who's your mentor in Pittsburgh, and how did they kind of shape the leader you are today?
I had a lot of great guys, man. You got guys like Ben, and even like Le'Veon, even like AB, Martavis Bryant, Cam Hayward was one of the biggest mentors, for me. Al Nueva was one of them too. He's the one who taught me how to drive. So, you kind of got a group of guys who, as a 20-year-old coming to the NFL and going into a veteran team where they already have guys who are already established, it was very nice for me to be under their wing.
You were back trying to return punts. I mean, if you want to return kickoffs and punts, get a chance.
Nah, I was just back there hanging out with the guys. I saw one go up in the air while we were getting in break, and I was like, let me see if I can catch this one. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there in time. I'm going to leave that to the other guys.
Taught you how to drive?
Yeah. I didn't have my license. I was at the time I was riding my bike, pretty much doing, and with Al, he kind of took me under his wing, put me in his big old truck, and he taught me how to drive and got my license. Nah, I didn't. I was catching rides with my friends.
What are your early impressions of Jalen Royals and how he's coming along?
Man, Jalen Rose, man, he's a rookie who's very strong, quiet dude, but works really hard. I don't know if you guys know, but he has, when he's out there, he's aura farming, and I think that's something that you guys don't get to see a lot. He's a guy that's going to show up every day and just work. He doesn't say a whole lot. He's very coachable. He's a sponge. He's a great dude to be around in that room.
JuJu, what have you seen from Tyquan Thornton? I believe you guys were on the same team in New England. What have you seen from him since you guys put the pads on?
Man, Tyquan has come a long way, man. He's a guy that who can stretch the field and even be physical too. As you guys saw today, he those and repetitively you guys see that like Pat loves a guy who can run, and then Tyquan he can run for days. He's going out there, he's making plays, he's showing up in camp. I think he's having a great camp, as far as our receiver room, and every single day he's always asking questions, trying to get the knowledge of the game, how he can be better, and he's always improving. So I'm super excited for him to be a part of the team this year.
These past few years, as you've dealt with some injuries, I guess how are you feeling coming into this camp?
Man, honestly, I felt great. I think, I finally took, the year to myself. I think early on, I kind of got like my vacation out the way, taking my family to Japan. And then after that, I really doubled down and buckled down on just myself, pouring into myself and, having the right people around me. This whole off season was just, getting back healthy, being strong, being able to run, over and over again, and even got a little bit better in golf. So, getting better summer. So, yeah.
What have you kind of felt attitude-wise about everything? It was a difficult end to the season last year, after winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. When this team has high expectations, like going to the AFC Championship, going to the Super Bowl, and expecting to win, it's tough. And when you lose like that, it's not a good feeling, right? So you have that motivation of, that's what we're chasing. We want to get back there, and for us, playing against that team, like they're a very, very great team. So for us to have another opportunity against them this year would be great.
Okay, thanks, JuJu.
Thank you.
So, Spag said you're kind of one of his barometers on how hot it was yesterday. About if you're looking tired, it's probably pretty hot outside. What was it like yesterday getting through that practice with everything?
It was definitely tough, but those are times that we got to push through. When it gets tough, we got to come tighter and just keep pushing through the practice. So,
what do you feel like that does for you throughout the year? If you have practices like that, kind of get through.
It do a lot for you. When it gets tough, you always think back to those times when you had to push through, hot outside. When it's the fourth quarter, you can go back into that mindset of just having to push through. When it's hot, you're tired, you got a lot of plays, just keep going.
He said he wants to use you in similar slot role, but also more as a traditional safety as well. I guess what are the challenges that go into playing multiple positions like that?
It's something that I enjoy doing, something that I've been doing for a while now. So I don't see too many challenges with it personally, but it's definitely something I'm trying to continue to get better at.
What helps you the most with that?
The coaches, I say, Coach Merritt, Coach House, they definitely helped me the most.
How did you spend your off season? Were there certain stuff that you were working on to try and get better, something specific?
Every year is always really the same for me. Get stronger, work on your speed. I did a lot of footwork stuff, of course, a lot of DB work. So.
More? Good. Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
Charles, maybe yesterday notwithstanding with the Heat, but how much better do you feel right now than you felt when you came back at the end of the season last year?
Feel a lot better. So I think it's a big difference just in my consistency with my explosiveness. Feel as strong as I ever been. So I'm glad that, I'm back at full strength for the first time since when I first got here. So it should bode well for me.
What have you liked about the competitiveness of practice so far? You got some young guys there on the D-line, got a little scrappy yesterday with some of that.
Yeah.
What do you like about your group so far?
Everybody's competitive. Everybody got fire under them, and that's what you need to play O-line, D-line. So guys ain't going to take no crap out there. So just guys who want to get better, and guys that want to compete. And sometimes it spews a little over, but it's part of it, and it's good.
Now that you're fully healthy and you have this offseason program, have your goals shifted? Are they loftier for 2025? As you say, you might have a full load of games.
I always have high expectations for myself and trying to go out there and perform well for the team. So those are always going to be like that for me, regardless.
Is it sack numbers or is it a certain amount of pressure? Like what's your barometer?
So whatever that helps the team win.
What stands out about a couple of rookies? Wonder if you go through what stands out about Ashton Gelati and then Omar Nolan Lott as well.
Yeah, I think starting off with Omar has great use of hands, very explosive. I noticed early on that he was able to grab wrists, something that it took me about 3-4 years to be able to do that. And Ashton just is a guy that he's going to go hard. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's a guy that just wants to learn, and he's a guy that has a lot of power. So that's something he can use to his advantage as he continues to fill out his game in the league.
Technique that you mentioned with Omar, can you describe the difficulty of maybe grasping that so quickly then?
Yeah, I mean, that's just a lot of hand-eye coordination. So that's something that he definitely practiced over in Tennessee, something that they probably teach because, like I said, I think it's just as a rusher, being able to long arm and then grab wrist, grab elbow, take guys' hands off you like that. I think it's something that's it's a learned skill, something that's pretty difficult.
You're kind of a unique look going up against Josh Simmons. You've had a unique perspective going up against Josh Simmons. And what have you learned about him so far? What stands out about him?
Very good athlete. He knows his strengths and he plays to them. I think he has a bright future. You know what I'm saying? So he's a guy that's a great athlete. You can see why he's the first-round pick.
Charles, when you're going through that level of heat and humidity in the pads the past 3 days, for you, what's the challenge to be able to push through and it's got to push your limit in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, because it's probably never going to be that hot in the game. You're never going to have that much volume at that like how quick we do it. So being able to just push through, just to work on your endurance, work on your capability to still play at a high level under great duress, and then also, the play call is getting in and you're tired, you're huffing and puffing, and be able to execute is also something I think that's key in when you're going through practices like this.
Charles, you haven't been able to play week 1 with the Chiefs. How much are you looking forward to just playing an opener?
Yeah, bro, it's going to be super exciting, bro. It's going to be the first time I play week 1 since my 4th year in the league. So I have definitely these last 2 years have understood the fact of not taking things for granted, understood the fact that you got to cherish everything in this game, because I've been on the end where you've had to sit and wait for different reasons. So I'll be excited, I'll be geeked, I'll be ready to rock and ready to go help get a win.
With that first week also being in Brazil, how much are you guys already talking about that and anticipating that trip?
I think I would just focus on the right now. Obviously, it's going to be a huge stage to play on. I'm a division opponent, but I think I would just focus on right now and competing out here and executing.
All right, thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Charles.